everyone, welcome to my channel, Everyday I'm Mothering. So today is Super Bowl, so I need to make some appetizers, some little snacky foods, and sweets. But you guys know we're doing plant-based eating, so they all need to be plant-based and they all need to be vegan for us. So this was a little bit of a challenge, but I found some great recipes that I'm really excited to try and wanted to show them to you so you have some ideas for any parties you might be going to, cookouts, game day stuff, anything like that. These would be perfect. So I'm going to be making some chorizo nachos with guacamole, some buffalo cauliflower wings with a ranch sauce, some carrots in a blanket, which sound really strange, so I'm really curious about that one, some fried gorgonzola Brussels sprouts, and then for dessert, some sweet potato brownies. So I have a lot I need to do, so let's just go ahead and get into the kitchen. First thing I want to do is get my carrots boiled and marinating, and then also soak my cashews and get my sweet potatoes in the oven. Then the first thing to work on was the nachos. So this started with a cheese sauce that you actually use carrots and potatoes and cashews in. And it makes a really creamy, nice, cheesy nacho sauce. All these recipes will be linked down in the description box below, and I'll also link our playlist to our weekly meals. Every week we post what our family has eaten that week, so you can get ideas for family meals. They're all plant-based, and we try out new recipes every day for the whole week. And this blended up really easily in my blender. It made a really nice creamy sauce, and then we like to add a little bit of Frank's here, not too much since the kids are also eating it, and we can always add more hot sauce on ours later when we're actually eating it, but just a little is a nice touch. Then we went ahead and saved the cheese sauce because obviously we didn't do the nachos till later. But when we did put them together, we used our chips and we made some chorizo, some plant-based chorizo, of course. We sauteed that up, put it on with this cheese sauce and a little bit of shredded cheese, and just baked it in the oven at 350 for about 10 minutes and just watch it until everything was starting to melt. And then you can top it with anything that you'd like, of course. When I saw these sweet potato fudgy brownies, I knew that I had to try them. I was really intrigued by this sweet potato. I've used things like black beans and other items for brownies, but never sweet potatoes. So I wanted to give it a try, and it was really easy. You just roast the sweet potatoes, peel them, and then mash them in with the rest of the ingredients. It's all in one bowl, so it was very easy to make, and they turned out really nice. They're definitely a denser, like fudgy, heavier brownie, so they're not cake-like, and they're very filling, but we served them warm and put a scoop of coconut milk vanilla ice cream on top, and they were really nice. And one is plenty, but the girls loved them, and we did top them with some chocolate chips on the end, again, dairy-free chocolate chips, and they were just sweet enough, and it was a very nice dessert. If you've been watching my weekly videos, you know that we made this buffalo cauliflower sandwich that we absolutely loved, so it really had me curious to try the buffalo cauliflower wings that I've heard a lot of good things about. I will say that as far as the breading and topping, I probably liked the one from my sandwich recipe better, and you can find that in week 2, I believe, of my videos. But I really still liked this concept and the method of how to actually bake them, and the ranch sauce that we made to dip them in was just delicious. And that's what I'm making here in the blender, and again, it was very easy to make, and it's something that would keep in the fridge, so we'll definitely make this in a bigger batch just to have on hand, but it was really nice for dipping the cauliflower in. In this recipe, the cauliflower is all mixed together in a bowl with the flour, the garlic powder, and then the milk and the breadcrumbs, and then you bake it. But I really like the other method that I used for the sandwich, where you toss it separately and you dip it multiple times in each one. It just seemed to coat better. This one didn't really seem to stick as well, so they didn't really get as crispy as I would have liked them in the oven. So I think next time I'll definitely coat them individually and do them multiple times in each step just to get a really nice coating on them. And then when you're cooking these in the oven, make sure to leave them in long enough that they start to get crispy. You can also put the broil on, just watch them and make sure that they don't burn. Baking these and then pulling them out and then tossing them in the actual Frank's and butter and putting them back in to bake again really helps that flavor stick. If you're making these with kids, I would recommend doing half with barbecue and half with Frank's. I forgot to do that this time, and these were just a little too hot for the girls, but they love them if we do just do barbecue instead of all Frank's. When I saw these fried gorgonzola Brussels sprouts, I knew we were gonna have to try these. Craig loves Brussels sprouts, and I'm not really a huge fan, but this recipe definitely sounded good. I mean, obviously it's cheese and it's fried, so how can it not be good, right? But when you're thinking vegan and dairy-free, it's strange to me to be making this gorgonzola sauce. So I was very curious how this was actually going to turn out, and it was really good. I was really surprised by it, and I can see us making it again. I will say when making this sauce, it turns out very liquidy at the beginning, which the recipe says that it will, and then you're supposed to put it onto the stove and let it thicken a little bit. In my case, I think I let it thicken a little too much because once you pull it off and it cools, it's going to get even thicker. So when I went to coat the Brussels sprouts after putting them in the flour, it was almost too thick to coat. So my advice is to pull this off when it still looks pretty thin because it is going to set up. And you really want it to be a texture that you're still going to be able to coat the balls in. If it gets too thick and too hot at this point, it's very difficult to get them to actually coat and roll, and it kind of turns into a sticky mess. So the ones I did at the very beginning that were actually coated were the best when we were eating them. So clearly, yes, you're frying these in oil. So I know it's not necessarily the healthiest thing, and some people don't like using oil. I have no idea how these would turn out in an air fryer. That could be worth trying, but at this point, it was just a fun, snacky game day treat for us. So I'm not really that concerned with the fact that it's fried, and they were very tasty. I had heard so much about carrot dogs, and to be honest, I had absolutely no clue what they were, and I thought it sounded really strange, and surely people weren't actually using carrots as hot dogs. But then when I saw this, I realized, no, yes, they actually are. I thought there's absolutely no way that that can be good, but we already had the crescent rolls, and I thought, well, okay, we'll try this. If nothing else, the kids will eat the carrots. And it was pretty simple. You just have to boil the carrots and then marinate them. And you're supposed to do it overnight. I didn't have time nor plan for that, so I ended up just letting them marinate for about 4 or 5 hours. So I'm sure they'd be even better if you actually did marinate them overnight. But all in all, they were pretty easy to make, and the girls really liked helping. They got to come down and roll some up, so they thought that was really fun. And then they baked them up, and they were super easy. The sauce that you make with had a little bit of a kick to it, so the girls weren't a huge fan of the dipping sauce itself, but the actual carrots in a blanket were a hit. My 20-month-old just inhaled them. She was shoving them down so quickly, and I was so surprised that these things actually did taste like the pigs in a blanket. It was very strange, but very good. So this ended up being our spread for Super Bowl Sunday, and these would be great recipes for any game day or for any parties. And you know, just because it's vegan and you're plant-based doesn't mean that you can't still have these great snack foods. Now, I will say, you're using cauliflower for wings. You're using carrots for the dogs in a blanket, and Brussels sprouts and gorgonzola. These things aren't meant to taste exactly like wings or sausage. So if that's your intent, you're going to be disappointed. But they're really good for the, for what they are for themselves, just to enjoy these things as, standalone food items. And they were really delicious. We were happy with how everything turned out. We didn't feel like we were missing out this year on game day. So I would really suggest, using some of these tweaks and making a lot of these recipes, and comment below. Let me know what you enjoyed, and make sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up and click that bell to be notified. We'll be having our next weekly menu posted soon this week, so you can see what else we ate this week. Bye everyone.